Holler if you hear me, and welcome to this edition of Saturday Night Naughty Time. It is the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're here together in the wake of the March Warren Elks comic book show. And I can say, yes, that actually there was an opening for a table for the April show that they're going to be doing, which is called the Detroit Comic Book Show. That's going to be over in Dearborn. So that will be, a big major difference there. It's the longer, bigger show that they do in April right there. It's going to be April 4th. I'll be there. I'll be bringing with me, of course, Encrypted, but not just Encrypted issue 1, Encrypted issue 2. Yes, Encrypted issue 2 arrived today. It actually, I told you it was supposed to arrive by 9 p.m. It actually arrived at 2:57 p.m. So literally minutes before the Warren Elks show closed today. Then finally issue 2 arrived. So that means I'll have to make up for lost time by having this at the show that they'll have in April, but also later on in April, I've already got the table ready to go for April 19th, the Dawn of the Collectors, that big one-day show. Well, I've had the table there. I got it the day of the February one I went to. So here we are with issue 2. The 250 copy print run we have for issue 2 all right here. The unboxing video that the channel members got to see first, and now it was uploaded here. And yes, there will be a video for tomorrow showing the process behind extending beyond unboxing it into the point of all of the decals we'll have to do when it comes to signing those copies for those who got their copies autographed. And of course, there's going to be sketched and drawn in copies as well. And also for those who went and got a subscription, well, there's most especially those who subscribe to the comic with their copies autographed, because the 2 one-year subscriptions we offer, there's the 1-year subscription, and then the other is the 1-year subscription with autographs. And yes, those are done. And not just any kind of regular old pen or Sharpie, but in a nice, solid gold right here. Yes, solid gold. Gold. And a sentence for your soul. And also we have these I got thanks to a couple last month. I got these at the local Hobby Lobby. Gold and silver Stadler pens we can see. The first thing you'll notice is that this is not done on that. That was actually something that I did not quite understand about getting the first issue printed, was that the difference between a printed cover that they were offering on Mixum versus the way that you could get your comic printed, where you're just referring to the whole of the page count being inside and out. So yes, this actually, having it as a 32-page count, because that would include the front and back covers as well as the inside front and back covers, was a lot easier to deal with than when it came to what we did before with having 28 pages with the covers being so different. I could notice here, yes, the glamour sheen that we put on this, that was actually an accident, and that's also why you see the inside cover here was totally blank. But then you notice one of the improvements we made when it came to printing issue 2 is that because of the improvement with how we printed it, we've now got it where the inside cover letter, the encrypted field report as the inside cover letter is going to be known, and all the following issues from 2 onwards was actually printed on that inside cover as promised right there. And that also includes the black and white cover preview for the following issue is right there as well. Issue 3's cover. And then here is right there as promised. So that's automatically a big step up for us, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And of course, there's still issue 3 will be more of an improvement upon that, where everything I learned and adopted and saw what succeeded in adopting or not adopting with issue 2 is then going to truly be applied with issue 3. But still, there'll be a learning curve with developing on up from there. And that by that point will be the next big, like, all-conquering, going in blind, flying blind, and not having any experience with, will be the printing of a trade, because yes, there is the plan of this whole first year of Encrypted with the 6 issues we'll be publishing this year to then sometime next year have a trade of them. And of course, I do plan on doing a larger print run for that issue, for that year one trade than what we've been doing so far with the first two issues, which both have been 250 copy print runs. Of course, with the hope of, circulating this enough and selling this enough to then it would lead to a higher demand that would lead to larger print runs for single issues, and then move onward from there into doing a year one trade paperback, so that will lead to those print runs on the single issues having that kind of specialty and rarity to them. That you haven't really seen in comics for a while, except not since at least the early days of The Walking Dead. Because, well, remember, the issue one of The Walking Dead is something that is very much a high demand on the secondary market. Because of the sky-smashing multimedia success of The Walking Dead, its humble beginnings as this little black and white comic that basically Robert Kirkman, the writer and creator, had to lie to the publisher of Image in order to get it made his way. He wound up getting very short, simple print runs, where I think like the print run for the first issue of The Walking Dead was like 7,000 copies for something that's considered very small circulation. But compared to what I did with issue 1 of Encrypted, 250. Yes. So that means that for there to be enough work to go and really make Encrypted into something that catches on and gets attention from the comic book readership out there in the world, then that means that getting back to the humble beginnings of 250 copies is most definitely going to be a big special deal right there. Oh, yes. But that also means we have all that work to do with how, we are coming on in and going in hot, because remember, around here, we're too legit to quit. And remember, there's also the difference between those that retailers that immediately adopted the comic with January. So yes, there are those retailers that are the first order of business with getting their copies after shipping out everybody's copy that pre-ordered and or are subscribed to the comic. So that means, yes, because it arrived here this afternoon, that means tomorrow, these will be later tonight, they will be packaged up. And then first thing Monday morning, you will be getting them shipped out to you via USPS Ground Advantage. And then it'll come on into getting it into the hands of other retailers. There's, of course, Cosmic Comics and Toys, who actually the owner by there also has a regular Instagram feed he does, and we had the promise of I would show up to the store of his on Monday for him to go and then put myself and the comic on his Instagram Live, so that then we can start preaching the gospel of Encrypted to a wider circulation right there, which I certainly hope would lead up to that sort of success and lead to that growth. As well as we've got our friends over there at Green Brain Comics in Dearborn, who immediately agreed to stock the title right there. So they're another one of those retailers we will immediately be sending out to, as well as to an independent seller, Nick's Comics down in Ohio, who also agreed to copies. So we'll be sending those down there immediately. And then it'll come into other ones, like I've said, for promotion. I am thinking about, yes, once again, there'll be another copy sent to Jane Silent Bob's Secret Stash off in New Jersey to see what they think of that there. And then from there, there's also the idea of, continuing to send one out to like Jason Branch, I know of the YouTube fame that I've been showing so much around here, to see what that issue is like and see what that response is compared to the first and all that. And continue on with all those others that agreed. Well, remember, there was a lot of the retailers we got that are now participating that expanded the circulation of Encrypted, are going to be getting issue 2, but in April, I plan, on account of they all agreed to stock issue 1. A large portion of those new retailers got their copies in February. So I promised them a bi-monthly comic, so it'd be better to wait until April to send out their copies to them. And of course, contact them ahead of time to see if they want to go in stock, as well as those stores to see what the sales were like, to see what the consignment deals we have are like, including Chicago Comics, where there actually was an honest-to-God contract signed with issue 1 out there when it comes to the consignment, where I get 60% of the sales. As well as downtown, John K. King News to Rare Books, who actually buy at the cover price I'm charging for regular copies, and then they go and stock them up. So, and they agreed completely, wholeheartedly to go with an oral agreement of getting each issue on their shelves and promoting it as, the work of a local author. So that is definitely something I'll be doing sometime this month as well, sometime maybe within an upcoming week, of heading up to downtown to drop off another few copies of issue 2 and keep that circulation, keep that regularity right there along with all these other stores. But, of course, the difference between those that immediately got theirs as soon as issue 1 came in January and those who didn't. Having all of that as well. And of course, well, when it comes to the idea of sketching with these copies, well, it's going to be a much more creative type of inside cover job in order to go and render some of these. To go and do an inside cover sketch for those who got their copies that want an inside cover, wanted an autograph with an inside cover sketch, which I will be doing like our friend It's Kome Gohan, who went and ordered himself another signed and sketched in copy like his copy of issue 1 was. So there's that. And also I did hear from Alpha Proto that he will be getting his issue 2 as well later on. But there's enough, it's that act now while supplies last situation. And also, tomorrow, there will be, also for all the channel members, the footage I shot for today. I did shoot plenty of footage for an upload for the Warren Elks comic book show today. So the channel members will be getting to see all that footage first. That will all be edited and then uploaded for them. And then later, for the regular viewing public, will be that one, that what you'll be seeing as like what you saw today with me doing the unboxing of issue 2. And so on and so forth that way. Because like I said, in late October, recommitting to doing Encrypted at a regular clip so that it can actually be published in the regular, a periodical fashion. That I also talked about and committed to also now regularly getting back into doing consistent members only content. To justify those channel memberships and help rebuild the memberships back up into 100 plus members and all that, which is a good number to have. Getting those memberships up to at least over 100 and then moving further and higher up from there. But of course, the main goal being just getting ourselves back to the justifying the 100 members area. And this was one where I was most of the time manning the torpedoes on my table and also going around to other retailers I did not recognize and either telling them about issue 2 coming, but also to new retailers to talk about, here's what I'm doing. And a lot of the sales that happened today were those who bought issue 1 out of wanting to show their support, out of solidarity to my work. And that's why the larger arena, the larger area they have venue for the show that they do in April, along with it being a longer day where they go from 10 to 6 on April 4th, that Saturday. It's going to be a big positive deal right there. And hopefully that means that with either all of those who liked it, well, if they want to bring in their positive feedback, maybe they'll go and want to get themselves another number 1, or if they want to go and, come back for issue 2, and also just people blindly looking and seeing what I'm doing, well, then getting them in on the ground floor with issues 1 and 2, let's go ahead and do that. The only thing I came home with from the show was straight from the dollar box. There were a couple different options that was interesting. I mentioned Deathmate earlier in the week, and they actually did have a couple of those Deathmate stories, one of them being the Deathmate epilogue that caught my eye because it was drawn by Mark Silvestri, who's one of those artists I always love and collect. But then in one other dollar box, I found this of the, Punisher POV, as done with Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson working together. So you've got the Punisher being done by Bernie Wrightson, and you caught my eye immediately. Because I'm one of those big, as you can tell, Punisher fans, and I've been on my way to try to, in one form or another, whether it's through the Epic collections or through other trades or through back issues, to collect the complete run of those first 3 monthly Punisher comics that were done in the 80s and 90s, where there was the Punisher did so well with that miniseries he did, which I do have, that then they wound up giving him a regular monthly book that then did so well. They then gave him a second monthly book and then a third. And yes, at his height, he had 3 monthly titles until eventually they all wound up getting canceled in 95. And then they launched with a new number 1, and that ran till 97 before they canceled that. And then the Punisher was one of the launch titles for Marvel Knights. But it was that supernatural Punisher that had Bernie Wrightson involved that everybody hated. but I've never read for myself. And they did do a trade of it and for as part of that Marvel Knights 20th anniversary trade series they did of like that and the Jay Lee, Paul Jenkins and version of the Inhumans and the Christopher Priest Black Panther and of course the Kevin Smith Daredevil. And Spider-Fan comes to the chat to say, favorite live-action Punisher? Did you ever play the Punisher PS2 Xbox game? I've seen Let's Plays and walkthroughs of the PS2 Punisher game. I never got to see it in the wild, though. I never got to play it. I wish I did. And for me, honestly, I do like Thomas Jane. Yes. As much as that, I still did like Thomas Jane the most, because as much as ignorant left-wing leaning parasites want to go and treat the Punisher as for how much they hate the Punisher for being so violent, the type of people who hate the character so much are the people to whom are just projecting because they're the ones that treat this person like he's a real person who did these things and how much that they want to go and violently punish him for daring to be a character that does not agree with their politics. So yeah, fuck those types. Fuck those Annocenti types and all that crap. So, but because of their ignorance, they don't understand the pathos of the Punisher that goes along with him being somebody who actually goes out there and takes down criminals permanently. But that sort of pathos I was talking about, Thomas Jane's portrayal of the character fits that like a glove. He portrays that perfectly, and I wish that he was able to get a sequel. The best. He was a terrific Punisher in an uneven movie that I wish got a sequel, so that then we could have really seen him in a potentially better film. And yes, we got RJ in the chat to say Jane's Punisher voice is top notch. If you saw the video game, having seen the video game later on through walkthroughs and all that, yes, he voiced the Punisher for the game and did it absolutely perfect. And then later on with that Dirty Laundry short film he did, that's the closest we've gotten to see Jane get another chance at playing the character. So that's perfect. And here is one of those spin miniseries and or one-shots that they did of the Punisher in between the 3 monthly Punisher books that were coming out. And, well, between Jim Starlin, this is Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson, obviously being hired by Marvel to do this type of vanity prestige miniseries after the success they had collaborating with DC to do Batman the Cult, which is one of those I've heard of but I've never read. And at least DC has kept Batman the Cult in print through trades, so I've been meaning to get my hands on that and track that one down. And of course, most especially this between, loving the Bernie Wrightson's work in general, but then also the Punisher. That's why even though this is only issue 2 of 4, it's still worth it because it's still the Punisher in the 90s and it's still Bernie Wrightson. So yeah, I'm gonna track it down. Of course, I'll be keeping it on a shelf until I'm able to actually go and get the full miniseries. But there's plenty of other dollar boxes out there. And Spider-Fan says, I hate when companies let trades go out of print, especially the big two. They have no excuse. Yes. Although, of course, because of the social justice bend of Marvel these days, maybe now you know why trying to get one of those epic collections that Marvel did of the Punisher is such a difficult thing to do. Like that, they did have a decent run with doing those epic collections for the original Punisher monthly, which goes up to about the first run of the Punisher went up to about over 100 something issues. And those trades, those epic collections do go up to the 70s or 80s for the Punisher. And I've got the first one that goes from the original miniseries up to about issue 10 or so. And then I think the next one they did after that. But then there's a gap of a couple, 2 or 3 of them that they did of epic collections that I don't have. Then there's one that I think the next to last one they did I do have. And also there was I have when it comes to those 3 90s monthly Punisher comics, the one I have that is the most complete is Punisher Warzone. That lasted 40 something issues, and I've got 36 of them between back issues and trades. Because those early, the initial run they had, where it was Chuck Dixon with John Romita Jr. drawing, those I have. And then after that, there's a storyline they did that crossed over between all 3 of the monthly books called Suicide Run. That was collected as a trade that was in print more recently. I do have that, and then there was the like multi-issue storyline they did in Punisher Warzone with John Buscema drawing. I've got that one, and then the 6-issue River of Blood storyline that was drawn by Joe Kubert that Marvel did a trade of recently, and I have that. But yeah, the final 5 issues of issues 36 to 41, those are missing. I even have the annuals for Punisher Warzone. And then when it comes to Punisher War Journal, that ran like 80-something issues, and I've got the trade that contains the first 19 issues of it because Punisher War Journal's original artist was Jim Lee. So, of course, they did a big, expensive trade of that, which I've got. And then there was a Suicide Run. Like I said, it crossed over with all 3 monthly books. So, yeah, all 3 of my the original Punisher monthly titles checklist it contains something in Suicide Run. And then there was another storyline I have in there, but that's about it. And Spider-Fan says, speaking of comics left-wingers hate, did you ever read Holy Terror by Frank Miller? I'd like to read that one at some point. Well, I'll answer your question with a visual aid. Hold on a second. Right here. Yes. And yes, how do I love thee? Well, it makes Linkara really, really mad. And any comic book that pisses off Linkara to no end is definitely something worthwhile. I joked about that in a super chat on a Razorfist Arcade stream about maybe I'll send a copy of my first comic to Linkara because, well, if he hates it, then I'll know it's really worth something. Yes, yes, yes. Just a little something on the end right there. So, yes, I have it. I have the majority of the Frank Miller bibliography out there. As I see now that they finally did do modern era epic collections for the rest of the Brian Michael Bendis Daredevil run, as well as for the beginning part or so of the Ed Brubaker run on the Marvel Knights era of Daredevil after Brian Michael Bendis quit doing the book, which I've heard great things about. And those two, they have so it seems like the epic collections of the modern era that collect the Bendis Daredevil, they're being collected across 3 trades. And I've got the 2 of them, but now there's a third one containing the final couple years of Bendis's Daredevil is out there now, and so is the Ed Brubaker Daredevil, so that's great. And also now for pre-order on Amazon is the next epic collection for the regular monthly Daredevil run, the original monthly book of Daredevil. The most recent one they released was the first half of the Frank Miller run, and now the second half of the Frank Miller run is now the next one they've got coming for the epic collections. They're not going to go in print. And I don't know. There's no trusting Marvel doing another printing of the epic collections for the original monthly Punisher from the 80s and 90s. And Spider-Fan says, Frank Miller should do a sequel to Holy Terror that takes place during Operation Epic Fury. Well, I mean, if there would, but then again, remember, in the years since doing Holy Terror and shit-talking Occupy Wall Street on his blog, he has been doing everything he can to perform penance since then. Penance to an audience that demands that he kill himself for being white and straight, and for saying mean things about Occupy Wall Street and about Al-Qaeda. Between all of the TDS-fueled comments he made in interviews around the time of when he, quote-unquote co-wrote DK3, and then there was that one Dark Knight Returns prequel that he wrote and all that stuff. And also, if you follow his Instagram, him doing artwork that's all like basic bitch political posturing, no the left-wing variety, no different from some Tumblr shithead or some modern diversity hire who does Steven Universe puke fan art for Marvel or DC, where it's Black Lives Matter or Stop Asian Hate and all that. It'll be. I seriously saw him do a one that was a piece. It was a piece for. It was Martha Washington, that character he did with Dave Gibbons in the 90s in parallel with Sin City. That was Black Lives Matter fan art. Or wait, let me look this up. I want to prove this to you. I want to show this to you for sure to prove I'm not making it up. I have to scroll down a little for this, though, because this was a few years back. Oh, wait. Here's one to prove it immediately. Yes. Marv from Sin City going, "Stop anti-Semitism." Yes. Who says Frank Miller is capitulating? To the left. Yes. Marv from Sin City now suddenly is politically correct and wanting to shut you up about anti-Semitism. Oh, here's one. SAG-AFTRA artists, SAG-AFTRA on strike. Really? Really? Oh, and Elektra. So Elektra is picketing for the SAG-AFTRA strike. All right, another one of Marv. WGA writers on strike. Really? You think a guy like Marv is going to give two shits about what some pansy-ass journalism major under the WGA right there is going to have to say? But wait, there's more. And then on the opposite of that, here's this little Bleacher Report mock comic cover he did for the Lakers. Fully colored and all that. That's okay. That's nice. All right, here's the Stop Asian Hate, where it's where Ronan, Frank Miller doing Stop Asian Hate. The same guy who, in the comic book Ronin, had a black man wearing a Nazi armband. Well, then here, no, Marv's the kind of guy where if he saw those pussy-ass SAG writers, no, this is what the character would actually do, like what he does in this famous page from the first Sin City to the priest. The priest that Frank Miller played in the Sin City movie, because when Frank Miller appears in movies, he always dies. I think there's more, but I know like there's the rest is these. Well, to make up for that, here's this nice giant rendering of Spider-Man. Or as Spider-Fan says, Frank does, art that says stop anti-Semitism while being on the side of anti-Semites. Left-wingers are clueless. Correct. Because as I've said before, it is the left's opinion of anti-Semitism is beyond circumstantial. You go and bring up, you say something about, how many people that run Hollywood are predominantly Jewish, and they'll call you a Nazi for that. But then if you go and demand that Jews get annihilated, but if you do it while saying free Palestine, then, if you're some free Palestine freak, then you can go and kill all the Jewish people you want, and Jon Stewart will actively help you. It's not as if, Jon Stewart, is a self-hating Jew stereotype personified, considering Stewart is not his last name, but something very, very Jewish. Hey, an unstable, shrill, and politically entitled, sexually frustrated Jewish comedian. Who could have guessed? It's like, just like Al Franken. There was that Jon Stewart is smart enough to not go and molest a woman who then winds up becoming a correspondent for Sean Hannity. But then again, if you've got a woman that's being involved that regularly and routinely with performing for the troops there with the USO, it should just be a given that she is going to be somebody who will eventually have some kind of Republican connections. Although, like I said, those allegations still come off like pure horseshit, and that's why it doesn't matter if it's horseshit allegations aimed at Trump and all that to try to take him down that were unsubstantiated and then immediately disappeared from the public eye, and the court cases disappeared from the public eye the second they wore out their usefulness to the Democratic Party by Trump getting elected anyway, or whether it's left-wing douchebag who would want to see me get shot in the head for voting Trump, Al Franken. because, yeah, those allegations were just as horseshit. You know, that suspiciously, that is a long form closing monologue from the end of a Real Time with Bill Maher episode that is not available on Bill Maher's official YouTube channel, where he went and defended Al Franken by bringing up details like, yeah, Leanne Tweeden, a long time regular at the Playboy Mansion and a correspondent in the sports world. Al Franken is the only man that ever got in line. And I remember him saying, yeah, women did not lose the ability to lie. Yeah. Spider-Man says somehow Jon Stewart is still not as bad as Stephen Colbert. And RJ brings up, yeah, Colbert drank too much Kool-Aid. I'm surprised his teeth don't rot. Well, it's that adrenochrome. You can put honey in your tea, or you can have a lot of adrenochrome, and it'll either way keep your teeth from turning into corn, despite all that Kool-Aid. And also, but just because on occasion Jon Stewart would make fun of a Democrat, or because of that completely performative moment where he appeared as a guest on Colbert and was talking about how people still will deny about the coronavirus making its origin in a lab in Wuhan that then got leaked out, while Colbert is continuing to do the Barack Obama method of deny, deny, deny. Well, just because he'll do that one joke about a Democrat a year does not mean that somehow he is less of a conniving little bastard than Colbert. I'm just able to see the forest from the trees. That's why, for me, the only entertaining moment of Jon Stewart in his entire life and career was in that movie, The Faculty, when he gets the ballpoint pen to the fucking eye. That's the moment I always cheer for, and why I think that movie is misunderstood. But remember, they are absolute wimps. Absolute whiny, entitled, stalker little wimps. Or RJ knows this. Stewart did a Democrat joke the same way Hefner had a black playmate. It is the quota, correct? Like I've mentioned before about whenever there would be a black or Hispanic, Playboy playmate. Yeah, in case you wonder why that would happen, yeah, that's because it like with what Jon Stewart you're saying there. Well, with Hugh Hefner, he wanted to keep defamation groups off his back. To avoid having an Al Sharpton thugocracy protest line against him, he'll put in a black playmate here or there, or an Hispanic playmate here or there to keep his gardeners off his back from complaining. But you really think that he really, if he had his druthers, that he would have just kept on doing, his idea of diversity would be having one redhead every 2 years as a centerfold, and that would be the closest thing to inclusivity he would have? No, if he had his way, then it would be, 9 blondes, 2 brunettes, and maybe a redhead every other year. Just saying. And yes, Spider-Fan, not only have I seen those women dancing in response to Operation Epic Fury, I even incorporated them into a recent video. Yes, the recent upload I did for shipping out the long stuck in circulation, returned to me because of a mailing error, and then shipped out to Weatherman at last, his 2 copies of issue 1 of Encrypted. I went and showed a little bit of that footage of the ladies dancing out there in the street. And let me show you where they are. And to further add insult to injury to that worthless little bitch, Jon Stewart, the man who wishes he was mid-90s Dennis Miller. That's this one right there. Just look at that thumbnail right there. Iranians cheering versus Jon Stewart screaming like a fucking baby. Maybe he should go and ask if Tucker Carlson will help change Jon Stewart's diaper. Let's get past this ad first. And another ad. All right, and scroll to show you where it is. Here we are.
So much footage of people cheering and dancing and singing now that our current president got rid of that.
USA! USA! USA!
Seth MacFarlane must be so mad.
President Trump, thank you! Honorable thank you!
Get out of the road.
Trump, thank you!
It's thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trump, Mr. President.
Is that a real guy?
Ayatollah Khamenei. He's dead.
And let's also not forget.
Let's find some more footage. Iranians celebrating. Yes. Let's try this one. Yes, of course, they're dancing in the streets, but not only that, they're dancing in the streets to YMCA. The thing is, now that the Islamic dogma that murders gays in the streets in public on a daily basis, that thing that actually happens in Muslim countries that doesn't happen in America and doesn't happen in the South, despite what morons like Rosie O'Donnell and Jon Stewart want you to think, maybe now in Iran it would be safe for people to go out in the streets dressed like a biker, a sailor, a cop, and a construction worker, and an American Indian, and dance and sing to the new Iranian freedom. Yes. In the middle of Times Square, no less. I can just imagine so many Mamdani voters seething and pulling their hair out and immediately scrambling around their apartments that they're sharing with 6 other roommates, 17 other genderqueer climate activists who identify as a bed of cabbage that are now scrambling around looking for all the materials they need to make makeshift explosives that they can then throw at these people for celebrating Trump ending Islamic tyranny in Iran. All the alcoholic, uppity white women that pretend Andy Cohen is interesting are most definitely seething and crying and shrieking at the sight of all this Iranian freedom. And especially that Star of David flag back there, you most definitely know that now suddenly, is any anti-Semitism response to this going to be stopped? Or will Anderson Cooper want that type of anti-Semitism to be stopped? Fuck no. He thinks what his producers tell him to think, and that's the mutual exchange for him storming into getting a CNN job handed to him, despite no ratings for decades on end, because of his mommy's money, and answering all imaginary obstacles in his non-existent obstacles-filled life to say simply to people rhetorically, do you know who my mother is? And here where you get to see that Star of David just flapping in the breeze. Especially all those same people, all those same leftist types, especially in the comic book business, that want to say that the Punisher is an evil, fascist, blood-hungry, bigoted character, are the same type of people that take one good look at all these people celebrating Iran being free from Muslim tyranny and seeing that Star of David flag, that Israeli flag right there, and demanding every single one of them die. Those type of people, those fake tolerant leftists, are immediately imagining them running into the crowd with an automatic weapon and killing every one of them dead like they're playing Doom, just like all those tranny mass shooters that are murdering defenseless children, both in Canada and in America. You couldn't really see it at that angle, but this one lady here is holding up a picture of the Donald right there. Let's go and confirm that. Get back to that girl with the picture up, swinging up, but it's hard to confirm if it really was the president right there in that picture. But she's crying joyously at her ancestral nation. And especially, yes, RJ, one day the Ayatollah is ruling all over Iran. The next, he's simply all over Iran. Yes. Like Kurt Cobain's brains, all over the place. Okay, we can confirm that that picture she's holding up isn't Trump. But remember, the actual real heir apparent to Iran, the actual Shah, the Shah of Iran should be back in the power. And that exiled Shah, who should be running the country, has been, well, waiting and waiting to get his throne back. And well, now there is a proper replacement for the Ayatollah. And let's look at some more. Let's see some more.
Every day, millions of...
Let's mute the UNICEF. It's time to do a dance. Nope, not a dance with no pants. Although now to the gay community of Iran, you can safely do the dance with no pants without having to hide it from the public, if you wish. All those out there now, because the Ayatollah is gone and the poison of Islam is not running Iran anymore, you can go and do all of the Sex in the City marathons you want without fear of public execution. Not that Megan Rapinoe will ever criticize that. Then again, that woman's never experienced actual adversity in her life, but is so self-loathing and insecure, she has to pretend that she suffers persecution and around her sexual preference, considering that reminding you she's a lesbian is the closest thing she'll ever have to a personality. Let's skip the fake news and show the actual party.
The streets to protest first against from corrupt and survived President Trump, urging them to take over the nation. And rival moment. If military dictatorship,
You are fake news. Let's see if Reuters. Oh. Well, at least Reuters is just simply putting their fake news in captions so we can see and watch the celebration of the people of Iran by themselves. So they can have fun with themselves and thanking me. Trump dust.
Iranian people, they want democracy, they want secularity, laicity, secularity, a secular regime, separation of religion and state. They want.
Unlike what happens in Muslim-run countries, not that Democrats will ever acknowledge that, despite how much they bitch and moan whenever some school in the South has a kid pray in school, or if they put the Ten Commandments in front of a government building in the South. But then that happening under the Muslim regime controlling Iran, they will go and want you shot and killed for daring to question Islamic dogma.
To go to vote and to choose the kind of the government they want.
Yes, another major difference between Iran and the rest of the Middle East, not that any morons who get their politics from Jon Stewart or South Park would ever know that, but Iran is a Persian country, not a Muslim country. Long before the Soviet Union and the Carter White House helped to plant a Islamic dictator in place of the actual Shah, yeah, they were a Persian country, so they were westernized. They were not goth beekeepers and child bride connoisseurs. So yes, a Persian and a Jewish woman partying. Yes. In true celebration of actually embodying the best Rick James song and my favorite crossover comic book storyline from the 90s, Unity. Who else remembers, yes, the glory days of Valiant Comics in the early 90s when they did that big company-wide crossover, their equivalent to Secret Wars or Crisis on Infinite Earths called Unity. Yes. And that first issue they did, which they started the crossover with a big issue 0 of all the characters working together as drawn by Barry Windsor Smith. And then they went and 2 months worth of every ongoing Valiant title had an issue that tied in. And another interesting buying incentive they did, instead of having variant covers, what they did was that the first month's worth of the Unity crossover, Valiant had a bunch of interlocking covers that were all drawn by Walt Simonson. And in the second month of the Unity crossover, all the ongoing Valiant titles had covers that were all drawn by Frank Miller. So that then if you bought all those comics from all that composed the whole storyline, you got 2 different examples of that X-Men #1 thing where you get all 4 covers and they make the one big long one, unless you got, the 5th edition that was just a gatefold of all those covers already printed together. But Unity did it better and was more creative about it, as opposed to the greed, the epitome of the greed and stupidity of that speculator boom. That's what Marvel did. Once again, I don't know if you saw that, but there we are. Iran. The people, the true people of Iran, right there with the Star of David. Perfect. Decades ago, for the decades, it used to be Iran being another shithole Middle Eastern country, despite how much people yearn for the previous days of Iran. Not the days of it being funny because it's true when our friend Robin Williams did that one joke when he was on Inside the Actors Studio where he borrowed a scarf from a woman in the crowd to then do a makeshift niqab and got, I want to welcome you all to Iran. Help me. Let's got some more. Let's keep this going. Oh, here's some. And well, when it comes to what I was saying about a Razor Fist earlier, here's a little upload from the gentleman from as far back as 7 years ago.
The absolute madman motherfucking did it after eons of placation and piss and winery, after unctuous Obama and cloying ass Kerry shipping shitloads of cash to Iran, getting nothing in return but a handful of hostages and an acid rain check. Trump took a long, withering glare at the Iran deal the country in question was revealed to have actively fucking violated just last week and shredded that shit up. And with grim predictability, you know exactly what that means. The media is positively alight with practiced righteous indignation.
The United States no longer makes empty threats. When I make promises, I keep them.
How did the kingdom, with
clearly, credit goes to President Trump. He's been determined to come to grips with this from day one.
Wow, if only you'd marshaled 1/15 the fucking outrage when Mulder and ass McCain penned an impromptu pop tune about transmogrifying the Iranian landmass into a thermonuclear hellscape.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Anyway.
So a fake Republican shithead like John McCain is okay to go and talk joke like that about bombing Iran? The same guy who actually did what you see in military movies they try to make the hero do about sending a radio message where he repeats the political talking points that they want him to say. Yes, that Tokyo Rose radio recording where John McCain went there when he was abducted by the Viet Cong and said everything the Viet Cong wanted to hear about Americans being evil tyrants that were murdering poor put upon little Vietnamese people. Because they got their news from Jane Fonda and Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In just as badly as any counterculture protesting commie fuckhead.
Nope, it's only now, with a president who appears to have cowed North Korea into submission, that you're finally pinching out the post-apocalypse predictions. Because we all know doing the exact same shit you've always done inevitably yields radically different results. Just ask the asshead gibbering in the corner of the padded room, pooping his pantaloons and raving about the Russians. But enough about Kathy Griffin. Look, the Iran deal did precious fuck all. Unless, of course, you happen to be the plane pilot who shipped in $400 million fucking dollars under cover of darkness in exchange for hostages in 2016. Oh, I'm sorry. Snopes informed us all that was, in fact, in exchange for 40-year-old fucking fighter jets. Not hostages. Complete coincidence. After all, it's not like they held said hostages on the tarmac until the plane landed or anything.
Yeah, we were at the airport for a night. And, they told us
slept there at the
20
airport.
minutes. Yes, for a night. And, they told us, you're going to be there for 20 minutes, but it took like hours and hours. We slept at the airport. And when I asked them why you don't let us go, because the plane was there, pilot was there, everyone was ready that we leave the country. They said, we are waiting for another plane. And until that plane doesn't come, we never let you go.
Ah, Snopes, the DNC's answer to the Iraqi information minister. And
Let's go back there. Snopes, rumor as research. No different from video game journalists, honestly. In case you wonder why the mainstream news took Gamergate so deeply personal.
Snopes, the DNC's answer to the Iraqi information minister. And speaking of hostages,
a warm welcome home from President Trump himself as 3 Americans return from captivity in North Korea.
My proudest achievement will be, this is a part of it, but will be when we denuclearize that entire peninsula.
It's viewed as a goodwill gesture from Kim Jong-un ahead of a planned summit between him and the U.S. president.
And here I thought you had to give up 5 hostages in order to receive 1 in return. How do you know these apocalyptic predictions are utter bullshit? Look, even if you're not acquainted with Iranian politics, how's about the immutable fact that many of these very same fuckknobs were forecasting portents of doom in their cup of noodles over North Korea less than a month ago? How'd that prophecy turn out for you there, Granny Rags? I haven't seen this many narratives collapse in unison since the end of Batman v Superman. You predicted the Commander-in-Chief would fire us all into Fallout 4. Instead, for the first time in 50 years, we're within arm's reach of peace on the peninsula. But to the reflexive fuckbags already crying Iraq war in this motherfucker, understand this. Iran is anything but the archetypal Middle Eastern country. In many ways, they're already massively motherfucking westernized. Do a quick YouTube search in Farsi or fucking otherwise for Pahlavi's Iran nostalgia and prepare to pound down page after page of Iranian citizens longing for the glory days of their puppet, the Shah. Some of the most popular memes in Iran consist of before and after fucking Polaroids of sprawling resorts.
Just take a look at that. Yes, Iran of 1970 doesn't quite look like that doesn't quite look like the way that American feminists want the Middle East to entirely look, despite all of them being the same type of women that want to scream about how just because I dress like a Sex and the City character and act like a Sex and the City character doesn't mean I'm a promiscuous cunt that wants men to drool over me and grab my ass in public and try to hit on me. But then again, that type of moral and intellectual duplicity is what those type of people are absolutely built on.
Bustling beaches and town squares and the like from before the Iranians were made a vassal state of Palestine. I'm sorry, revolted. But no aspect of Iranian society is more atypical than its governmental structure. Basically, bitch, replace the 3...
Yes. Iranian democracy. All because of Khomeini.
But no aspect of Iranian society is more atypical than its governmental structure. Basically, bitch, replace the 3 branches of U.S. government with the military, the Ayatollah, and an utterly ineffectual president. Have them all freebase bath salts, and you're arcing toward the beginnings of an understanding why any deal brokered with a single pillar of the Iranian government has about as much value as an NDA signed by Stormy Daniels. This is why everyone from the prince in exile of Iran to Persian celebrities abiding in the U.S. have expressed support for Trump torpedoing the laughable Iran deal. It was never preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear ordnance. If anything, it was outright facilitating it. But more to the point, if you sign an agreement with, say, the president of Iran, himself a toothless thrall to the mullahs, often in direct conflict with his own military, and both of the above work to opposite ends, as recent intelligence suggests they resoundingly fucking have, motherfucker, you don't have an agreement. You have a decorative wall hanging. Iran is a regime that fails to keep the fucking lights on in large sections of even Tehran at times, yet miraculously find themselves awash with mysterious cash when it's time to buy billions of dollars worth of shiny new police motorcycles to put down an Arab Spring riot. And to the suddenly, miraculously anti-war left, who mere months ago were calling for full-scale land war in Russia, whatever whirling typhoons a tism come tumbling from your lying fucking face holes hereafter, let's dispense with the pretense that you harbor even the faintest of fucks to give about the well-being of the Iranian people. Because every time you part your prevaricating maws and deign to lecture the little people about the merits of mercy, those of us that actually give a shit about the Iranian people see through you like a Reynolds Wrap tankini. Iran ain't some ass backward Arab shithole shitbird. This is a rich and ancient culture, one that boasts among the oldest and finest food, fashion, and fucking music, and they for the most part resent the encroachment of Arabic interests on their infinitely more venerated civilization, which is why what comes next is kind of a tough call. I mean, on the surface, sanctions sort of make sense, but sadly, they do little more than penalize a populace that is effectively fucking enslaved to begin with. I mean, sadly with Iran, you're left with two choices, neither of which are ideal. I mean, pursue sanctions knowing it punishes the people who actively despise the despots they suffer beneath to begin with, or invade with nary a fucking apology. Pummel them into submission. Accept your role as invader. None of this flak jacket, armored car, shock and awe horse shit. You go in like motherfucking MacArthur or you sit your ass at home. I'm not advocating either, for the record. It's a heel program as far as I'm concerned. So before any of my fellow isolationists chime in, I feel you. Really, I do. The last thing I want is a wide-scale conflict in the Middle East. I'm convinced war is God's way of teaching John McCain geography, folks. But this is a rare case where leaving them alone does precious little, because no matter how much wood pulp and India ink we sacrifice to the diplomatic enterprise of bringing the Persian people into the 21st century, the other two wings of their government will actively fucking subvert it. And all the while, the militaristic wing of their government will be actively commandeering their cash so they can funnel it to fucking nukes. As in all things, there are no hard and fast answers here, and often you have to resign yourself to being cast as the most cavernous, gaping butthole in the block. But shrieking that this will end in World War III, once again, no less. Look, if you run a YouTube channel and you predicted Trump would hurtle us all into nuclear hellfire in Korea, yet even despite this fact failing to materialize and the opposite actively occurring, you nevertheless insist on pivoting toward asserting his Iranian policy, will do the very same. I want you to stop. Pause the video, brandish your fucking flip cam, and record a video stating the following. I was wrong. The leering late-night twinks I call my mediocre opinions from were fucking wrong. Changing the subject doesn't change reality. No amount of grammar critiques on Twitter will change how earth-rendingly wrong I was. I'm oblivious. I'm a cunt. I apologize. You do that, Daddy, we're copacetic. Otherwise, resume your little pillow fort powwow, handily insulated from even the beginnings of butt-fucking reality, while the adults continue to be jacked into real fucking life. Oh, and Kyle, baby, not to harp on your hapless ass. Christ knows your cratering narrative must be a bear this last week, but actually, fuck it, it's fun. Bite me, bitch.
Yeah, I know you've been a pretty staunch critic of Hillary. Do you think she'd actually be doing a better job right now?
Yes, I do. I think she would be, for a few reasons. Number one, she wouldn't be getting us out of the Iran deal.
Wrong again, dumb Polak.
So the Iran deal, yes, it makes it much more likely that Iran is not going to get a nuclear weapon. And if you get rid of that, then you're escalating tensions with Iran. I don't think Hillary would have been nearly as bad.
I ask you people, is there a solitary syllable of his performance that hasn't aged like Kirstie Alley's neck? I mean, even if you think Netanyahu's full of 7 shades of shit, and really it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume so, Iran, or rather the Iranian military's reaction to these allegations, that is to say, bombing the bejesus out of Israel, is almost the only confirmation you fucking need. The deal was a damn joke. They were clearly violating it. We're well the fuck rid of it for one reason and one reason alone. No peace you pen with Persian Hydra head number 1 has a chance in high holy hell of being honored by the other fucking 2. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
Habitual wrongness. Kyle Kulinski. Absolutely positively. In case you wonder why, that's another dipshit that has absolutely positively proven himself to be a complete waste of space and waste of life, and anybody who listens to his opinions deserves a punch in the throat as badly as he fucking does. Although, considering his last name, it'd be better to break a light bulb over his fucking skull. The difference is that the light bulb has a stronger structure than his head. The Iranian trumpet suspenders bro. Yes. Iranian trumpet right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Iraq.
The Iraq looks like something we shouldn't be involved with. It looks like you put it together with no directions.
I'm confident the Iraq will work without any directions or plans of any sort. This is the Iraq as we intended. Mission accomplished.
Look, the Iraq's starting to smoke.
That's just the beginnings of synergy. I will help the process along by throwing the rest of our money at the Iraq. I want you all to stop focusing on the Iraq and start focusing on our newest product, the Iran.
And speaking of useless wimps, let's look at this parody from In Living Color of Boys to Wimps.
Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. I belong to you. Breakdown. Hey girl, I know you were seeing one other guy. And I just wanted to say that I love you and I forgive you. Hush now. You don't have to explain. Two-timed again. No, you don't have to tell me who it was. See, I don't even want to know. Can I finish talking? See, I'm just trying to tell you that even though you dogged me out, slept around, broke my heart, I still want your little stank behind back. Well, where you going? What to say? See the Caesar. What? Huh? No, I'm not stalking you. I love you. Yeah, I know there's a restraining order, but am I in with 100 feet of you? All right then. What? Oh, did I escape? No, I'm free to come and go as I please, long as I sign out. Look, don't worry about my medication, all right? He's a loser. See, girl, this is how it all started in the first place, your mouth. Now, that you what you did, you got me started. See, that's what happened last time. What? What? Ooh, I wasn't trying to strangle you. I was trying to hug your love. All right, let's settle this once for all. How many dudes have you slept with? Go ahead, tell me. I can take it. There were 3 of them. She's a freak. Hey, she's a freak woman, man. Who were they, babe? Don't name names. What? What'd you say? Oh, my backup sings. Oh, it's on now. You probably slept with them too, huh? Yeah, I'm trying to find your name all over the precinct wall, baby. I hate you. I hate you. I want you. I want you.
Iranian Americans in Nashville describe the U.S.'s mission in.
Yes, there are those whom their families came to America after the fall of the real Iran in the 70s in Huntsville, Tennessee, that are celebrating the end of the Ayatollah.
To Iran as surreal.
We could not even think that this will happen in less than 24 hours for them to take over and kill.
And you can only see part of it, but look at that. That's obviously Trump holding up the Ayatollah as a giant rat. While Kyle Kulinski cries. He cries in the shower like a little bitch after burning his clothes and crying that the Ayatollah is gone. Him and Stephen Colbert both crying tears of blood in the shower after burning their clothes and vomiting in the toilet like Ace Ventura. Oh, no.
40 top leaders of the Iranian regime. So I'm so speechless and just so happy to be living in today.
We've been asking for this help for pretty much 50 years and we never got it. And we got it. And in a matter of 10 hours.
Hope for change is now closer than it's been in decades for Iranians who fled a regime they say was run through oppression and murder, especially in the last 2 months.
They killed more than 40,000 people. We believe 30,000 people. More than.
Wait. Okay. Whoever did this decal for this truck is a genius artistically and absolutely right. I want this on a shirt. I want this so I can have it framed. Absolutely, positively. I want this on a shirt I can wear through Hamtramck.
Than 40,000 people. We believe they killed more than 100,000 people. I have so many friends and family in Iran. Every single one of them you talk with, they have some kids die.
But across town.
Oh, go. And of course, guess what? actual Iranians, people actually from the country. There they are in Tennessee. Somehow you got Iranians in Tennessee. And guess what? They're celebrating the end of the Ayatollah. These worn-out white lily fuckwit crisis actors who don't get out of bed without a Soros check clearing first. Of course, in U.S. imperialism. Suck my freshly shaved balls.
Anti-war protesters expressed in Iran, saying they want tax dollars.
Americans fit.
Home countries.
And I'm tired of it.
No, I'm tired of you thinking you know anything about the world that doesn't come from a Jon Stewart monologue. You are as big a waste of space and a waste of life who belongs in a federal prison as Jon Stewart does.
Many of these Iranian Americans who told us they fled to the U.S. after atrocities under their home country's regime thanked President Trump, the U.S., and Israel.
No other country stand up till this happened today. And for the first time in 47 years in a history, somebody actually came to rescue us. Thank you, President Trump. That's all I can say, that in the bottom of my heart.
Now, unlike that WWE game, let's look at some more success of actually bringing to the people what they want to see. Yes, because why? The Donald finished the story. He finished the story of the Ayatollah, that is.
Kansas City's Iranian community turned out to Mill Creek Park on Sunday afternoon.
There's even a Iranian community out there in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm all for them celebrating. Let's just show all the clueless white liberals and Soros plants there what's actually up. And these people that were immigrants, although there's two reasons why they would not want to see these people celebrate, because they're celebrating the Ayatollah being dead, and also they all are legal, as opposed to all of the Somali illegals that were planted across certain cities by the Obama White House.
I'm Ryan Gamboa.
And yes, RJ, the Ayatollah is seeing a different kind of undertaker, the kind who usually has a big fat dude standing next to him holding an urn that shoots magical purple gas. Magical purple gas being what happens to fall out the ass of Stephen Colbert after a night of meeting with his producers. And by producers, I mean Nancy Pelosi with a strap on after a Lady Viagra binge.
And this demonstration was less a protest and more a celebration of freedom in their home country.
Sweet treats and tea warmed decades of...
And notice this guy here drumming along, celebrating the end of the Ayatollah, all of these Iranian Americans, and yet there they are, look, with the little fist in the air sticker on the drum. And yet the whole fist in the air political posturing that leftists love so much when it's brain-dead, easily led, violent black people burning down their own neighborhoods so that overeducated and equally stupid as they are race hustlers can bully corporations and politicians into giving them unearned political influence while also firing money at them from a cannon that they can use to go and buy up multi-million-dollar homes instead of doing anything to uplift the black community. Well, remember, with the leftists, if they had no double standards, they would have no standards. So let's see how many of those Jon Stewart ball washers are going to leave walls of text in the comments section, just like they did with my recent postal video about the fall of the Ayatollah.
Sweet treats and tea warmed decades of strife on Sunday.
We're in celebration of new life.
And who else would, who else is wondering if this lady is single? Your average Muslim sack of crap, or your white American socialist sack of crap that's pro-Muslim, like a Vosh or a Destiny, would just look at her and say, yeah, well, she's a little old for my taste. And also, yeah, her being an adult woman. Then again, they can still work that around by being able to force themselves on her violently, because remember, deranged leftists, especially those that are artificially handed clout across Twitch, are the most violent, lunatic, serial rapist, sex criminal fuckheads. Not people that like to wear Punisher shirts like yours truly. I'm just horny. They're sick in the head criminal perverts.
The regime couldn't take our smiles away, our hope away. Here are treats rather than picking up dead bodies.
Now, I've never seen one of those in person, but they do look nice, maybe. I'm assuming that's a type of traditional Iranian little dessert right there. Well, maybe we can try some of those out in the future, just to make Kyle Kulinski really, really mad. Yes, she definitely is cute.
Rather than picking up dead bodies, we're celebrating the new bodies that can live in a free Iran.
And no storm could drown Kortandi Alizader's.
And yes, this man here celebrating, right there, celebrating in a nice big bright red motherfucking MAGA hat. Oh, it's magic. For the longest time, thanks to Democrat bullshittery, many people believed that this day would not be so, but now it most definitely is so. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Smile.
These people that from my community, it's the first time that I see the real joy.
This is the U.S. and Israel trigger conflict with Iran, and violence grows in the region. Ali Nikaim told me back in January his people just want freedom from the Iranian regime.
We want exactly what American people have.
That freedom, he says, is a step closer through a fulfilled promise from the president.
President Trump promised something, then he has to do it.
I call upon all Iranian patriots.
President Trump telling Iranians to do their part, pledging his support when they act.
Take back your country. America is with you.
But local leaders remain critical to the president's action, including Democrat Emanuel Cleaver.
Here we are.
Man, completely know-nothing sack of monkey crap who wishes that he was Obama. If only for him to be immune to consequences.
Them may create some headache, but in the long term, I think it's good.
While song and dance filled the plaza on Sunday, the celebration conveyed a strong message.
If you're not in support in what's happening, then you really need to consider who you are in support.
Who you are in support of, e.g. tyrannical Muslims who murder women, children, and gay people on a daily fucking basis. Not that you ever hear that from the most tolerant and supposedly open-minded people on earth, who then can't tolerate a single person being white, heterosexual, or going to church that isn't a synagogue. And cute Iranian Nicole Sullivan right here is so damn triggering to them. You damn well know that one of those dozens of sock accounts that people like Vosh use on social media to pretend that their numbers are higher than they really are going to be finding her social media accounts so they can send her death threats. And don't you deny that.
In Kansas City, Ryan Gamboa, KSHB 41 News.
Sparkling Ice Flavor Labs.
Let's see a little more. Not on CBS News. The same CBS News with Dan Rather that lied about W. Bush being a draft dodger. Not that we ever any got real punishment for that.
And here in Southern California, hundreds of
Now here's the jackpot. The socialist sea hag shithole that is Southern California, having all these Iranians coming in, all of these Americans who them and their families came legally from Iran, now are here taken to the streets to show what legal immigrants really celebrating a real regime change looks like to all the Southern Californian shitheads who think that it is a righteous cause to go and screech about how you are an evil bigot if you didn't like the rings of power.
Iranian Americans rallied and celebrated the deaths of Iran's supreme leader. Some who even said they were opposed to President Trump before are now praising his military action.
Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is live in Westwood this evening with more on the rally and how people there are reacting to the strikes in Iran. Tim.
Yeah, Liz, Jory, the group was celebrating here all afternoon. They have since gone home. They say what is happening in Iran is a moment for change. You just heard from an Iranian woman who essentially said Iranians are large in numbers and they want new leadership. This event drew hundreds of people to the streets. Air 7 showed the massive crowd gathered outside the federal building in Westwood. They waved Iranian flags along with the American and the Israel flags. There were messages thanking President Donald Trump and Israel for striking their native land, killing Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. They say for decades he left the country broken and oppressed.
I'm here to celebrate free Iran. I'm here to celebrate all the people that have recently died, make sure that their deaths were not in vain, and make sure that we're here to remember them.
For the first time in 47 years, the people of Iran have risen against darkness, against evil, and they know their only hope is President Trump and Israel. Together, we get together, and it's the only hope, the only chance we have to get rid of this evil regime.
The atmosphere has been festive all afternoon with dancing and singing. And despite the casualties from this conflict, they believe Iran will be able to thrive under new leadership. Tim Pulliam, ABC 7.
As opposed to what was going on in the 50 years before the fall of the Ayatollah, thanks to the Soviet Union and President Carter, but I repeat myself about Soviets, we had in Iran this.
Obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
The attacker got loose
And don't you fucking deny that. This is all the way in Australia. Yes, 7news.com.au as in Australia. 7 News Australia. We have Iranians to whom coming to Australia was safer than staying in Iran with the Ayatollah planted there. That's got to be the Iranian equivalent of that giant statue in Russia that got pulled down by ropes when the Soviet Union was dismantled. I actually, that was something on the recent Racer Force Offensive stream that happened Thursday. They opened the stream with celebrating the anniversary of Stalin's death. And I remember leaving a super chat there talking about how I had a great grandmother who escaped the Soviet oppression, came to America, and she lived long enough to see the fall of the Soviet Union. And me, a great grandchild born after the end of the Soviet Union. So yes, she won at life. She got to win at life. Just like what's going on with these gentlemen and ladies, of course, right here. And even over there in Europe. And more of them Israeli flags just pissing off all of the Starfleet Academy writing staff and everybody on TikTok that still pretends that anybody actually watched The Acolyte. This is in Lisbon, France. Okay.
Iranian people, they want democracy. They want secular.
And all right, you've got people on this news program, news broadcast here. They're talking to French. They're in France talking in English. So they most definitely are pissing off all of these snooty white French fuckheads who have been enjoying their country becoming another Islamic ravaged battlefield thanks to globalist politicians.
Secularity, laicity, secularity, a secular regime, separation of religion and state. They want to go to vote and to choose the kind of the government they want.
And RJ brings up, the only people I believed watched The Acolyte were to talk about it on YouTube. Yes. That paradox I keep bringing up about how the only people that consistently watch that woke crap are the geeks and gamers, critical drinker, nerdrotic type of content creators to go and shit talk about it, to shit talk it all over live streams and uploads. Speaking of things that make good old Hassan Piker extremely mad, just shitting his pants and crying for his mama while shooting his while shooting at random things in his room and electrocuting the shit out of his dog, and then probably forcing himself on some defenseless woman who then he'll kill, and his parents' money will go and dump the bodies, just like how his family made their money on the back of murdering defenseless Armenians and stealing all of their earned wealth.
Iranian people, they want democracy. They want secularity, laicity, secularity, a secular regime, separation of religion and state. They want to go to vote and to choose the kind of the government they want.
Here's one. In Portland. Oh, God. Right there in the heart of modern commie dipshittery. Real Iranians celebrating the end of Muslim oppression is going to make so many genderqueer basket-weaving majors shit their pants with blood at the sight of seeing minorities celebrating the end of an actual dictator. The only people I believe I already said that one, RJ. He also says, RJ says, the U.S. and Israel killed the Ayatollah, his wife, and countless possible successors. As a late and great Iranian would say, broke the regime's back and made them humble. Now, truly, now we thank you, President Trump. We thank you, Trump. You go there, you take down Ayatollah, Trump. And now you make Iran number one again. Iran number one, Islam, puh. Iran number one, Jon Stewart, puh. Iran number one, Hassan Piker, puh. Iran number one, Shuan Head, puh. Iran number one, Destiny, puh. Iran number one, Sneeko, puh. Iran number one, USA, puh. Iran number one, Vosh, puh. Iran number one, Stephen Colbert, puh.
As global tensions rise following the coordinated strikes on Iran, many Iranian Americans are celebrating the killing of Iran's supreme leader after decades in power.
What we're witnessing is not just a political shift. This represents hope and dignity for Iranians.
It's the Renaissance. This is a renaissance, believe me.
Dozens of people taking to the streets of downtown Portland Sunday, dancing and singing, praising the efforts of President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mr. Trump, we love you. Bibi, we love you. Bibi, we love you.
Iranian Americans in Portland saying many of their friends and family in the Middle East are doing the same.
It's been almost 50 years that globally people can't come to Iran. They are happy, they're dancing, they're celebrating. They want this change.
Meanwhile, a number of other Iranian Americans say they're.
And by Iranian Americans, they mean includes DEI hires brought straight from the checkbook of George Soros, and don't you fucking deny that. And Spider-Fan brings up, it is sad that the Iron Sheik did not live to see all this. If he was still around, he would be part of the celebrations. And a man who was truly as fresh out of fucks to give as the Iron Sheik was, it would be so hilarious to see some bitch like Jon Stewart try to challenge him, knowing that a bitch like my father or Jon Stewart could both easily get their ass handed to them when you actually tell them to go and actually prove all of their quote-unquote badass talk, although they never set foot out of their home or the TV studio. Iranians, by that they mean Islamic ass puppets. Then again, remember, it's USA Today. USA Today doesn't deserve to smell my shit or Bela Lugosi's shit.
What had been planned here at Hyde Park.
Oh, well. And say hello to everyone there at Hyde Park, yes. Here at Hyde Park, we're celebrating the fall of the Ayatollah. The Ayatollah is a little piece of shit right there, little bastard. I wish I could have gone there, right there to Iran, and would have helped Trump. I would have found the Ayatollah, and I would have just, you don't have to bomb him. I would have taken me sword off and a boomerang and put one up the nose and the other up his ass. That's what I'd do. I'd be right there. I'd scare the shit out of him. He'd be running away, trying to run away from me. And then I'd be sitting there in front of the interceptor going, I know a way out here that could haul all that tanker. But if you want to get out of here, you talk to me. And my friend. And my friend would not be an actual friend. It would be a coffin I brought with me all the way up from Hyde Park. And I do that just to make sure the Ayatollah knew what it was like to really be afraid. As I looked the man in his eyes, and I ended him right there. And no, I don't drink Fasters. I don't drink that. That's piss. What I do is enjoy myself a can of Dinky D. And then when the Dinky D can is done, I'd shove it all the way through his empty little fucking skull and out his butthole, just to make Stephen Colbert cry. Just to make him cry even harder, because he's a leftist little butter soft bitch. And I never use butter. I use Vegemite. And Vegemite is basically a Somali illegals' diarrhea mixed with their own vomit, and you put it into a food spread. That's what Vegemite is. And yes, Mel, would ask the Ayatollah, do you want a shot at the title?
As a protest rally has been quite different. It's been more like a giant party. Lots of.
What are all these Iranians doing down there in Australia? I don't know. But remember, I was born in New York State and didn't come there to Australia until I was about a teenager. But hey, stranger things have come and gone from the country.
People dancing and singing and embracing, talking excitedly about what the future may hold for Iran. The Iranian community in Australia had been staging rallies demanding the toppling of the Islamic-backed regime in Iran. They now, of course, may well have their wish. The US-led strikes in Iran welcomed by this community at this rally. We see Iran's original flag, the lion and sun flying, along with Australian and US flags. Now, along with the excitement that people feel here, there's also a level of trepidation, concern for Iranian families here about their loved ones and families in Iran right now, about their safety. There have been attempts to get information out of Iran with what is, of course, an unfolding war. Now, along with the Iranian community here. The Jewish community in Sydney has certainly welcomed what we've seen in Iran, particularly in the wake of the anti-Semitic attacks in Australia that were linked by intelligence agencies to Iran.
All right, yeah. Who else remembers all them Islamic mass murders that would happen here, the mass shootings that Muslim illegals were doing on Jews down there in Australia that nobody gave two fucks about after it was reported for about maybe 3 hours over here? I wonder. Yet another example of there I'd be there with the interceptor going, you want to get out of here? You talk to me.
Iranian forces. What had been planned.
Oh, fuck you, you useless, brainless dyke. He has helped more Iranians with one bombing run than your brain-dead ass would ever run and ever help in your entire life of fake crying so that you and the rest of your brainwashed elitist friends can pretend that you actually know anything when no, all of you deserve to be, especially you, Rachel, left alone in a Muslim country and see how many solitary seconds you would last before your ass would get thrown off a building like you fucking deserve.
Here at the score.
The news overseas has sparked widespread reaction across Canada, including here in BC.
Apparently, the planting of a Muslim shithole government vassal state in Iran had such an effect of so many Iranians getting the hell out of Iran to anywhere else, literally, that there's even Iranians over there that came to Canada after the Shah was displaced. So all the way over in British Columbia now. You've got those Iranians that will be dancing and singing to traditional Iranian music, as well as doing the YMCA to honor Trump. And then maybe when they're done, they might then go and keep on celebrating the fall of the Ayatollah to the tune of the Kids in the Hall theme. And there will be Buddy Cole in traditional Persian garb, not Islamic garb, because Persians don't kill fabulous men like me. No, no, no. Iran for decades, thanks to the Soviet Union and Jimmy Carter, was full of homophobes, racists, misogynists, and mass murderers. Or, as you could simply call them, Muslims. I haven't smoked in decades, yet, for it comes to the people of Iran getting their country back, I believe a victory smoke is definitely been called for. It's been called for since 1979. I haven't waited this long for something since that year, since the last time a watchable Alien movie was put in theaters. But now I look upon the Iranian people and see them as fabulous, as cultured, as wise, as sophisticated, as tolerant, and as contributing to society in a positive level. The exact opposite of what Muslims do. If only because anytime I go into one of my special places for a little light fun with other men, if I go anywhere near a Muslim man, I know I am putting my life in my hands even more than if I was playing Russian roulette with a 6-shooter that had 4 bullets loaded in its chambers. All right, that's enough of that.
Thousands mobilized for a rally in Vancouver Saturday following news of the developments in Iran. For many, it marks a sense of relief at the prospect of possible regime change there. Iranian Canadians we spoke with are also pleased that Canada's Prime Minister is backing the U.S.-Israeli actions.
The energy is so different today. It's incomparable. When I was walking down, you could feel the happiness. Last couple of weeks, it was a lot of sadness, a lot of processing the bad news coming in. But today, the energy is different. Everyone's hopeful. Everyone's happy for what happened. and it's just, it's black and white.
We are happy for this military intervention, and we want them to continue to remove the whole regime from Iran. I believe, and all these people believe, with removing the Islamic regime of Iran, the peace is going to come to all the world. That main source of terrorism in the world is going to be removed.
We got the very good news that we were waiting for. The promise. It's delivered. They said help is on the way. It has been delivered. We were very happy all night celebrating. We couldn't sleep tight, honestly, from the anxiety. And then a few hours ago, we have heard that the biggest terrorist leader has been killed. So everyone in country, outside country celebrating. My family managed to call me and they were dancing. They couldn't talk. They were dancing.
The local Iranian community is planning another rally for tomorrow. Vancouver police say they are deploying.
Gotcha. That's fun. And actually, the Australian talk reminded me earlier, coming back from the Warren Elks show, they had at the opening front desk there these little complimentary toys. And I went and got one of a little kangaroo right here. We brought back a little kangaroo. I've never had any of the meat that Kim and others have been talking about. But maybe in the future, from either Kim or Helen talking about it, there might be a little something else there. Isn't that all just absolutely positively beautiful to see? Yes, I think it is. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the last call for super chats, the last call for channel memberships, and the last call for donations into the store. So let's go on in and round out this stream with one big positive uproar for the people of Iran, as well as for, well, on a much smaller scale, issue 2 of Encrypted being up and ready to go. Like I said, because of there being no post on Sunday, so everyone's copy who either pre-ordered issue 2 or who subscribed to issue 2, subscribe to the comic, will be getting their copies shipped out there. It'll be USPS Ground Advantage coming Monday, so that means the majority of you will be getting your copies within the week, sometime between Wednesday through Friday. Of course, with Weatherman, where the further slower mailing process out there because of where he is up there in Washington. So yes, barring that, or anybody say they would go and get get their copies internationally, yeah, we've got this. Take it all in, soak it up, and of course, there's the back cover as well. We got those Roswell aliens coming on in. Absolutely, positively, yes. Yes, yes. It would make a great asset. Oh, baby, yes. This, I think definitely an improvement printing-wise as well. And from the looks of it here, upgrading, going up to a 500 DPI scan for the pages really did help. I think this scan-wise, the printed art here does look better than issue 1 because, like I said, all the originals, the artwork to issue 1 was scanned at 300 DPI, and going 200 looks better. And also, I did rescan all of issue 1's original artwork at 500 DPI, so any future reprinting of issue 1, say in the trade of the first 6 issues we'll be doing next year, will have that better quality scan to them in any future reprinting or print runs or whatever. Or if I wind up doing my own little, $1 True Believer style a single issue reprint or whatever, there you'll see. So until then, I want to thank you all for watching. Subscribe so the channel hits 10,000 subs. Become a member today and shop my art store with that first link in the description below, where you can buy my art or commission me or support me directly with a donation. Or you can go now and buy issues 1 or 2 of my comic book Encrypted, where a copy is $5, an autographed copy is $10, an autographed and sketched in copy is $20, or you can get a 1-year subscription for $60, or a subscription with your copies autographed for $90. So tomorrow I'll have shorts at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 and 6. I'll have a new video at 6:30, and I'll be live again at 8. So until then, felines, slam it, lick it, suck it, and see you, Space Cowboy.